This is Salaam, Namaste Canada on चकते TV. हस्बे मामूल सलमा जदावी, अकबर और जलाल हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं और मैं माफ़ी चाहूँगी, मैं आपके पिछले प्रोग्राम में नहीं आ सकी थी, मैं हॉलिडे के लिए गई हुई थी। सबसे पहले मैं अपने सारे देखने वालों को 2017 की मुबारकबाद देती हूँ। उम्मीद है ये नया साल आप सब लोगों के लिए बहुत अच्छा साबित होगा। बहुत सारी दुश्वारियाँ हुई हैं 2016 में लोगों के साथ, मुल्कों के साथ और फैमिलीज़ के साथ। हम उम्मीद रखते हैं कि जो ये नया साल आएगा सबके लिए खुशियाँ लेकर आएगा। तो आज हमारे साथ देख रहे होंगे जैसे कि आप कि हमारे साथ एक बहुत ज़्यादा फेमस हस्ती हमारे अल्बर्टा की, हमारी कैलगरी की मौजूद हैं, साइमा जमाल। अगर मैं उनके बारे में कहूँ तो वो बहुत कम होगा, लेकिन उनके बारे में मैं आपको सिर्फ ये थोड़ा सा बताना चाहूँगी, उसके बाद हम उनसे बात करेंगे तो बहुत सारा कुछ आप लोगों को मालूम होगा। ये बहुत ज़्यादा जो काम करती हैं वो सीरियन रिफ्यूजीज़ के लिए, और ये एक सोशल एक्टिविस्ट हैं, ह्यूमैनिटेरियन हैं, वॉलंटियर हैं, और इनके पास इतने माशाल्लाह से अवार्ड्स इनको मिले हुए हैं। इन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा काम किया है, 15 सालों में बहुत ज़्यादा काम कर चुकी हैं। तो चलिए हम इनसे मिलवाते हैं, और हमारे जो को होस्ट हैं हमारे अकबर और जलाल से भी हम आपको मिलवाते हैं। तो जलाल और अकबर, कैसे हैं आप? लोग ने मिस किया मुझे?
एब्सोल्युटली, लाइक देयर इज़ नो डाउट सलमा आपा कि हम लोग आपको मिस ना करें। मेरे ख्याल से हमसे ज़्यादा जो हमारे देखने वाले दोस्त हैं उन्होंने मिस किया होगा।
उम्मीद है।
और सलमा आपा घूमने गई थी, हमें जेलस कर रही थी।
अच्छा।
तो ये एक शिकायत हमेशा के लिए रहेगी।
अच्छा
जी, लेकिन सलमा जी मैं आपसे बहुत ही माफ़ी चाहूँगा कि यानी जहाँ तक मुझे अफवाह मिली है, हमने जो किसी ने मिस नहीं किया आपको। We were all fine and happy।
अच्छा।
हमारा पिछला शो जो आपको जो है रोहिणी के साथ था, ये तो बहुत अच्छा गया। और ऑफ कोर्स यानी कि नया साल है तो हम ये यानी कि आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं, और आपकी मोहब्बत जितनी हमें मिली है 2016 में, तो इंशाल्लाह वो 2017 में भी वो इंशाल्लाह कंटिन्यू रहेगी। इसलिए कि आप हैं तो हम हैं, अगर आप नहीं होंगे तो हमारा फिर मुश्किल है रहना फिर।
डेफिनेटली जो जलाल भाई ने कहा, सलमा आपा ने कहा, आई विल सेकंड दैट। बट द थिंग इज़ दैट कि लाइक दोस्तों एक छोटा सा मैसेज है 2017 के अंदर मेरी तरफ से, सलाम नमस्ते कनाडा की तरफ से, कि अपने दिलों को थोड़ा और ज़्यादा कुशादा कीजिए। ज़्यादा बड़े दिल के साथ लोगों से मिलिए, उनके साथ अपने रवाबित रखिए। किसी ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात आज कही, और लाइक मैंने उससे एक इंटरेक्शन था, मैंने उससे ये कहा, उसने कहा कि लाइक पिछले दिनों उस आदमी से मुझे कुछ ज़रूरत थी और उस आदमी ने मेरा साथ नहीं दिया, तो आज उसे ज़रूरत है तो मैं क्यों उसका साथ दूँ।
जी, ये गलत बात है।
तो मुझे एक छोटा सा मौका मिला और उसके साथ मैंने एक एक्सपीरियंस शेयर किया। मैंने कहा ज़िंदगी के अंदर बहुत दफ़ा ऐसा होता है कि हमारे साथ कभी कुछ अच्छा हो जाता है, हमें समझ में नहीं आता कि ऐसा मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ। उस बंदे को मैं जानता भी नहीं था, लेकिन उसने ऑफ द वे जाके मेरी हेल्प की। मैं आपको एक छोटी सी बहुत क्विकली एक एग्जांपल दे दूं। मैं कुछ दिनों पहले लाइक हॉकी का मैच देखने गया था। वहाँ पे एक फैमिली गाड़ी पार्क कर रही थी। मैं उस फैमिली को नहीं जानता था, वो फैमिली हमारी फैमिली को नहीं जानती थी, बट जस्ट इन केस लाइक वी वर एक्चुअली पार्किंग एट द सेम स्पॉट। मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था कि मैंने सही पार्क की है कि नहीं की है। मैंने उससे सिर्फ पूछा, मैंने कहा इज़ दिस द राइट पार्किंग, लाइक ये सही एरिया है? तो उसने कहा या। मैंने कहा टिकट कहाँ से मैं परचेज़ कर सकता हूँ? तो वो उस बंदे ने मुझे लाइक एक वो गाड़ी खोली उसने, और उसने एक मुझे वाउचर अपने हाथ में दे दिया।
अच्छा।
एंड ही सेड लाइक यूज इट।
ओह हाउ नाइस।
तो लाइक मैं उसे बिल्कुल भी नहीं जानता था, जस्ट उसने मेरी एक हेल्प की। और मैं सोचता हूँ कि लाइक क्यों ऑफ द वे जाके लोग इस तरह से हेल्प करते हैं। तो मेरे हिसाब से जो कभी हमने किसी के साथ अच्छा किया होता है वो आके हमें मिलता है, चाहे आप जानते नहीं हो उस बंदे को, उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता। तो दोस्तों सिर्फ एक छोटा सा मैसेज ये है कि 2017 के अंदर कोशिश ये कीजिए कि लोगों की मदद कीजिए, राइट। और आज का जो प्रोग्राम है, सलमा आपा ने जैसे बताया, जो हमारे साथ हस्ती मौजूद हैं, उन्होंने बहुत लोगों की हेल्प की है और उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस हम सुनेंगे। तो सलमा आपा, बैक टू यू। और साइमा
जी। तो साइमा, सबसे पहले आपका यहाँ खुशामदीद हमारे प्रोग्राम में आने के लिए। और हमें बहुत खुशी है कि आप अपना इतना कीमती वक्त निकाल के हमारे प्रोग्राम में आई हैं, क्योंकि मुझे मालूम है कि आप बहुत ज़्यादा वॉलंटियर करती हैं। और आजकल के जैसा कि आज का जो प्रोग्राम है जो ख़ास हम लोग कर रहे हैं वो सीरियन रिफ्यूजीज़ के बारे में है। तो आपसे हम यही पूछना चाहेंगे कि ये आपने कब करना शुरू किया और क्या है, इस वक्त क्या हाल है, सीरियन जो आए हैं उनका स्टेटस क्या है और किस तरह से वो सेटल हो रहे हैं?
Thank you very much, Saima. First of all, I apologize for not speaking.
No, it's okay.
It's not the best one, and you don't want to hear me speaking in that language in the new year.
It's okay.
But Happy New Year to everyone. I would just want to wish that this past year has been a very good year, but it has also been a very difficult year for a lot of people and for a lot of reasons. And this little example that Akbar just brought right now, that man giving you that little voucher that showed that man's good heart, is what has been multiplied in this city over the whole coming of the Syrian refugees. You can imagine that little act getting multiplied hundreds and thousands of times, and people all over, from the government to the grassroots people to people from every political spectrum. They understood that what is happening in Syria is beyond anybody's imagination. And finally to get an opportunity in the city that you live in the country that you're part of, and to be able to just lift these people up, these refugees up, and show them some love, some welcoming, some compassion, and show them that finally you're in a place where you have peace, you have security. You don't have to worry about getting bombed, you don't have to worry about food, you don't have to worry about oppressive regimes or terrorists or anything. You're finally in a place of safety. You know, that has been the whole 2016 for this city of Calgary. And myself being the co-founder of the Syrian Refugee Support Group, and Sam Namura, who's also the co-founder, the two of us, for the last 15 months, I don't know how we did it, but as volunteers, we have just been chugging along non-stop, because the need has been so great that there hasn't really been any, anywhere we could stop or take a break. Just even this winter holidays, we were just running around picking up donations, dropping off donations on Christmas Eve, on Christmas Day, on Boxing Day. There hasn't really been any chance for us to even get a break. So that's how
that shows something.
Has been.
So these Syrian refugees. So they are not only Muslim; they are from all over, from different religion as well. But we know as Islam is the peace of religion of peace. But I know few refugees, but not that much. But you know them more than us. So if you can tell me about one particular, or just a general about the Syrian family, are they bad? You know what I mean? Because everyone thinks, Syria, no, we don't want the refugees from there, this and that.
That's right.
One of our responsibility as a Canadian citizen is to make sure that this country and our people are protected from threats all inside and outside. And it is our first prerogative as citizens, as human beings, to make sure that you are safe, your neighbors are safe, your friends and family are safe. But it is also your prerogative as a global citizen that you don't make that safety just for yourself and the people that you know. You extend it to neighbors that are beyond this country. You extend it to neighbors that are beyond this continent. You extend to neighbors and fellow human beings that are escaping terrorism, that are escaping atrocities committed by their government, that are escaping places where there's no more food and shelter and safety left. So when you think about a typical Syrian family, are they bad? That's a question, that is very easily comes into a person's mind. But after meeting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, I would say now, almost a couple of thousand of Syrians that I've met, I can tell you that just like you and I, we have our faults, we have our highs, we have our inspiring stories, we have our downfalls, we have our lives that we go through, and just like us, it's them too. Just for them, the whole idea of a Syrian refugee has been very, very shocking for them. They're not used to being called refugees.
Right.
Because Syria, as you know, for generations have been the country that gave refuge.
Yeah,
They've been
that's
the
right.
country that gave refuge to the Iraqis, the Palestinians, and before that, generations of people have come from Russia, from everywhere to Syria to get refuge. From the First World War, the Second World War, the Palestinian War, the Iraq War, everywhere. So when these people, these very proud people, all of a sudden become refugees, it's very difficult for them.
No
That's
doubt.
right.
So when they arrive here, yes, they arrive here as refugees, but then they become newcomers.
Yeah.
That's a term that we like to use, and that's a term that they take pride in as well. So I would definitely say that till now, I haven't met a bad
Awesome.
Syrian.
Yeah, but like our program goes, like all over the world. I think this is a good chance we can spread the message.
Yeah.
They are just human beings just
That's
like
right.
us.
Yeah.
They have a two like in two eyes and two legs and two
Yeah.
hands. They are not different.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
and to tell you the truth, they have actually crossed the boundaries of what we even expect of them. You heard the stories of how when the fires of Fort McMurray happened, and how these refugees saw that, we lost our homes. We were forced to move out all of a sudden one day. And just like that, these refugees in Fort Mac, the same. And they stepped up to help in whatever way they could.
Yeah.
So these sort of examples, and just this 2 weekends ago, they saw how in Christmas Canadians come up with the spirit of giving,
Yeah.
not just for their own family members, but to the homeless, to the less fortunate in our society. So these refugees, they said, you know what, we're going to cook food and bring tubes and gloves and scarves and the spirit of Christmas and the spirit of giving to the less fortunate. I mean, I understand why they are homeless, but we are homeless too, as they say. We were forced to become homeless.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we'll ignore the homeless in this country or in our new homes.
What a
So
nice.
they came up and they brought warm food and love and gifts to the homeless in our city. So even after just a year where they're just arrived, they're still not getting full-time jobs. They're not still fully capable of English. They're still trying to integrate. Even while they're doing that, any opportunity they get to give back, to help out, they're doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
definitely. That's so nice. Yeah.
Saima, I actually want to ask you like a few background question because whenever there is an issue like internally within Canada or externally, I think like the first message I see on Facebook is from you, right? You have spoken like about human rights. You have spoken about the societies that how they should actually behave, and specifically like the civil society. So I would like to know like a little bit about your background, like where this all started.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm pretty sure like the viewers also like to know.
Yeah.
You know, it started off, I would say, just when you're growing up, you grow up in a very politically active family in the sense that we weren't into at all politics, but we would discuss politics at home.
Okay.
Just like any South Asian family, you know. I grew up in Bangladesh, and my dad supported one political party while my mom supported the other.
Okay.
So we did table talks over politics and civil society and social issues were very common. You know, I didn't get shielded from any tough discussions. So my parents made sure that I was always there from a very
that's
young
great.
age, contributing and I was listening very acutely to what they were doing. And when I did finally come to Canada, it was a place where it gives you the freedom to, you know, whatever effort you give in a project or an initiative, you get that 100% back. It isn't like when you're back home, you know, you put so much effort, but then there's all of a sudden something happens that you have to bribe someone to go through, that your own efforts doesn't seem to simply take you there.
That's right.
You know, you have obstacles. So that's when I realized that, you know, university shouldn't just be a place where I'm just getting my education. It should be a platform where I can already use those skills that I'm gaining to give back. So that's when I started joining the different ethnic club, like the Pakistan Student Society.
Okay.
And that's when I became like the first Bangladeshi to become the president of the Pakistan Student Society.
Wow.
Because right from those early years of university life, I was helping international students that were coming in from Pakistan with all kinds of help in terms of finding, you know, housing, in terms of finding the right courses. So you try and do whatever you could as a student club, basically.
Yeah.
I joined a whole bunch of other university clubs too, whether they were social issues based or educational based. But one thing that really changed me was the invasion of Afghanistan. And at that time we were just students too. And right away, as a student club, we started fundraising for all the Afghani refugees that were moving from Afghanistan to Pakistan. Yes. So that was the first time in year 2000, you know, that I started helping refugees. And got the entire student community to come up and the university community come up and fundraise for that. So it didn't end. It just kind of a snowball from there onwards. Yes.
So Saima, and I want to know, what was the most challenging thing you had to go through while settling down these refugees? I should not call them refugees, these newcomers, Syrian newcomers.
You know, the challenge has been huge. It hasn't just been the fact that we're trying to get them everything that they need in a household, to get them going day to day. The challenge has been to communicate with them, to understand them, because we're dealing with a group of people whose language I don't share. They speak Arabic, I can speak English, yes, I can speak Hindi, Urdu too, but in the sense I don't know Arabic. So that became a huge challenge for me personally. So, but that did not stop us from helping them. That did not stop us from going to their houses every day and talking and talking and talking till they understood me or I understood them. And thank God for my partner, Sam Namura, who is also the co-founder, the two of us. In our partnership and work, we made sure that each one, wherever one is failing, the other one is picking up. So it was very useful to actually have someone from Syria who understood the Syrian culture, who understood the history of Syria, who understood their needs, to actually right there, be there, and understand what the needs were. And that's, I think, how we survived the challenges. Is once we were able to understand their needs, then we were able to fulfill their needs. And the biggest challenge, I would say, is finding them jobs. It's not easy. Right
as
now,
it is the economy is not that great.
Exactly.
So
the jobs is huge right now. Even the young people, the 15, 16, 17-year-olds, they want to work, do weekend jobs so that they can help towards their families. It was very difficult to also make them understand sometimes the Canadian culture, the integration part, because they come from a very conservative families, you know, no matter what part of the government brought a lot of people from very rural areas. So we have to really educate them, not in just the language, but also explain to them how things work here culture-wise. So it's interesting. We have and another thing is, personally, when you hear their stories, one story after the other story, when you hear, it affects you. It really hits you hard. You know, you think that you're just walking into a house where they're calling you for dinner, but then they'll start talking to you about their issues, their concerns, and then slowly, when you get more of their confidence, they'll start telling you what happened to them in Syria. What is that incident that made them move? There's always that one trigger point in every family that just made them pack up their bags and leave.
It's enough. Yeah.
You know, and when you just hear stories like that, and I'd love to share a few if you give me the
Yeah,
opportunity,
sure.
Then you really understand what is going on in Syria. It's those one or two stories, you know. And I was just visiting this one family, which I actually was talking to Jalal the other day about as well. And this family, there was a family of 5 kids, and the dad called us over, and he wants to start a business, and he wants to learn how to be a masseuse.
Okay.
And while we are talking about how he can be somebody who can do massage therapy, he started talking about his children. His oldest was disabled and he couldn't move, and right after that he had another son who was mentally very disturbed. And the kind of PTSD this boy is facing, it's amazing, you know. He was telling me that when his son was just in his home, the front house, the neighbor's house, it just got bombed. And 3 members of the neighbor's family died immediately. And this kid, when he was just playing in the rubble 10 days later, he just found his friend's hand.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
That completely messed him up, you know. And if that wasn't enough, he was later playing upstairs in the rooftop. You know how you have rooftops back home that you can play in. And with his friends, and he saw this very low-lying jet plane go through, and whenever they see a plane, they start screaming Allahu Akbar, you know, because it's that fear of it's going to
being bombed,
you know, and then he saw this bomb fall in the mosque in his neighborhood, and it killed everyone in this mosque. And if that wasn't enough of a torture from the the regime side, the other side was just as brutal with them. You know, Daesh literally captured them, his family and his neighbors, and put a gun on his dad's head and his grandfather's head and his head, and forced them to see the slaughter of anyone who was against them. So it was, so by the time this normal boy, now he's 11 years old, his speech, his communication is so disturbed that he doesn't know anymore how to react. So now he wakes up and screams with night terrors. He's waking up, wetting his bed because he's so afraid that those memories keep on coming back. And thank God he's here in Canada now getting treatment for this PTSD. But imagine the long-term effects of him on his family, on his future, on his life. So this is the kind of atrocities these families have escaped to make Canada home. So, and with all of this comes a lot of anger too.
Of course.
Definitely.
That anger that a government that did not protect them, the anger that human beings became monsters, an anger that, where is the world? How could they just be sitting there and staring at us, not helping us, when this last 6 years the entire country is just going down the hill and just completely destroyed.
And then the trust, the main thing is the trust. How can they trust anybody?
How can they trust anyone?
So that is the most important thing.
Saima, whatever you're doing, I think that's
so
our salute to you.
So remarkable.
It's not easy. It's not for everyone. It's not easy, of course, but it's not for everyone. I'm just going to edit, whatever you said. One of the news director from the Maclean's magazine, he was there last year. So I was listening his interview, and he said there are a bunch of people in one camp. There are no bathrooms, there are no lights, no water, and we are so blessed.
So blessed.
I mean, thank God we are here in Canada. We love you. We are so blessed we are here. So if you can just think, I don't know, I'm just so emotional right now, so we can't, can't say anything. But anyways, Saima, come back to the good thing. So when they came when they came last year, first time, their first plane came to Calgary, and I believe you were there. Mayor Nancy was there as well. So tell us about how was the reaction that time, because you were there, we weren't there, and plus how's how's the support from our community, from the South Asian community?
You know, the first plane on November 24th that came, 16 Syrian refugees had arrived, and we put a post in our Syrian refugee support group that there's a group of Syrians coming, you know, and we had strangers from every background, South Asians,
nice.
Arabs, white, Chinese, black, green, orange, whatever background people you can think, you know, hijabi, niqabi, absolutely atheists, no faith people.
That's right.
They were all showing up with peanut butter sandwiches and with teddy bears and flowers and whatever you can think
bring,
of, you know, all there, strangers, absolute strangers showing up in the airport, and it was the first time this happened in Canada. This whole welcoming of Syrian refugees by strangers in this huge airport welcome, and I like to think that when in December the large group started coming in and Justin Trudeau showed up in the airport, he kind of learned it from us, from our example in Calgary.
Good, I'm glad.
So we were there with winter boots and jackets and anything you can think of. We were there just to give that welcome. You know, in Syria, when people show up in the airport, the more people show up, the more honor it is for them.
Feel better, of course.
It's very much like us South Asians too, you know. When we go to pick someone up, you'll see back home there's like this, 20 family members.
That's right.
And it's the same in the Arab culture too. It gives them honor, it gives them respect, makes them happy, makes them feel welcome to Canada. So, and it isn't so much as the stuff, the items, the household goods, or the job, or the donation. It's that whole smile, that welcome, that simple. That's the most important gesture that we as Canadians needed to give them. Everything else will fall into place.
Later.
So and that was the most important thing, you know.
Wow, amazing.
Imagine.
Amazing.
Imagine if they came and they were not welcomed properly. You know, like, how would they feel? You know, that is the most important first impression, first thing.
And most refugees didn't get that welcome. You have to understand that. I mean, the government-sponsored refugees, they come, they have just one government staff that goes, picks them up from the airport, puts them in a van, takes them to the resettlement house. It's only when we as volunteers hear from sponsors that there's a family coming, please come and, you know, help us welcome them. Only the very privileged few that were able to get that sort of an amazing welcome. But for the rest of them, it's been just that quiet coming, and you know, and that's about it. And then the welcome happens once they're in the house. And as volunteers, as Canadians, as donors, we just go and see them.
Awesome.
That's right.
That's amazing. Like one thing, Saima, like I would like to have a pause and just to tell our viewers, आप सिर्फ इतना imagine करो कि आप एक ऐसी कंट्री में रहते हैं जो पीसफुल है, नो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, नथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट, एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन आपसे सब कुछ छीन लिया जाता है. इस सिचुएशन से ये लोग निकले हैं. जस्ट इमेजिन, आई मीन इट इज़ अ टेरिबल फीलिंग. और उसके अंदर लाइक कनाडा ने एक बहुत बड़ा काम किया. आई थिंक कनाडा हैज़ डन वेल, राइट. और जस्टिन ट्रूडो की गवर्नमेंट और लाइक जितने भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स जिन्होंने ये काम किया और इन रेफ्यूजीज़ को लाइक न्यू कमर्स को लाइक कनाडा में लाए, और साथ ही साथ सिविल सोसाइटी ने, लोगों ने इतना अप्रिशिएट किया. आई थिंक जो मुझे साइमा की बात बहुत पसंद आई वो ये है कि अगर आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, एक स्माइल तो दे सकते हैं.
जी बिल्कुल.
तो ये दोस्तों ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. लाइक ये लोग इतने लाइक जैसे कि उस बच्चे की एग्जांपल थी कि 11 साल की उम्र के अंदर उसने क्या नहीं देखा. जी. यानी हम अपने बच्चों को, हम अपने यानी जो एडल्ट्स हैं वो भी इन चीजों से दूर रहते हैं. उस बच्चे ने 11 साल की उम्र में सब देख लिया.
कितना प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं अपने बच्चों को इनसे.
और लाइक
यू नो हम ये लाइफ जो है ऑफ कोर्स यू नो वी टेक इट यू नो एज अ ग्रांटेड. यू नो इट्स लाइक हम आई थिंक इट्स नॉट ओनली अस, जो बाकी जो मीडिया लोग हैं वो भी यही बात करते रहते ऑल द टाइम. दे ऑलवेज यू नो गिव यू गाइस ऑफ कोर्स द गुड मैसेज कि लाइफ का कोई भरोसा नहीं है।
Right.
जो करें अच्छा करें, भले अगर यानी अच्छा नहीं कर सके तो फिर वो बुरा भी ना करें।
हाँ, सबसे बड़ी बात
सबसे बड़ी बात, भले नुकसान नहीं तो किसी का फायदा नहीं है तो फिर उनका नुकसान भी नहीं है।
लेकिन आप ये चीज सोचिए जलाल भाई, सलमा आपा, साइमा, लाइक एक अच्छा जेस्टर उस बच्चे को ये सिखा दिया कि लाइक मैंने ये ब्रूटैलिटी तो देखी लेकिन दुनिया में अच्छे लोग
भी हैं,
राइट।
Yeah.
तो अगर आप जैसे कि बुराई को बुराई से आप नहीं मिटा सकते,
Yeah.
आप अच्छाई से मिटा सकते हैं।
जी,
तो ये जो अच्छा जेस्चर है सिविल सोसाइटी का, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। साइमा, आई विल आस्क यू वन स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन। दिस brutality, this cultural conflict, this clash of civilization, or you could say clash of ignorance, it is actually growing day by day, right? On the other day, like we actually heard about this guy who was actually in the Delta aircraft, and he was just speaking in Arabic with his mother,
Yeah.
and they actually kicked him out.
Yeah.
Right? What is happening?
You know, right now we're sitting at such a point in our history where the biggest threats are terrorists and Islamophobes. These are the two extremes that are really seems to be the players. And people like us that are somewhere in the middle, we seem to not be fully getting our voice through. And this U.S. election was a big example of what just of this, where we were sitting at this precipice. You know, having somebody like Donald Trump come into power, having someone like this boy getting kicked out of the airplane for speaking Arabic. You see now this whole, you hear the alt-right, you know, the neo-Nazi groups have a new term now, you know, the white supremacists have a new term, alt-right. So all of these are a huge threat to society. I feel this is something that each one of us in civil society, in our regular homes, we need to educate our children big time. This is the time to let everyone know that this fear and hate that seems to gain people's votes needs to end. It can't go on like this. And even though Donald Trump is now the next president, there has to be some way, we as people, we as Canadians, because we do still have Justin Trudeau here, and we need to at this point use our Canadianness to push the goodness all over the world. We need to be now the leader, not the United States. And I firmly believe in that.
True.
You know, and people will fall towards that goodness if we show that leadership. And I firmly believe this Syrian refugee project is there to show that leadership. I mean, look, it's not me, it's not Sam, it's the hundreds and thousands of volunteers that have actually come forward in this city with those ideals to fight Islamophobia, to fight hate, to fight fear, to fight the fact that, oh, the other, you know, that we are all human beings and we're here to help each other. And that's the goodness we need to show to the people of United States and the people of the world, and definitely Europe. I mean, if you see what's happening in Hungary right now, and you see their right-wing government is playing on the refugee crisis, you see that happening in Germany as well. We need to show what the real truth about people that are going through this mass migration, this massive crisis of human, you know, refugees all over the world, not just from Syria, from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan. You see people from everywhere flocking to the European continent. So it isn't just happening in a little pocket, you know. So we need to be aware, and we need to know how to react and educate our people and our children on this.
That's right.
So do you think like in our civil society, like the way, I think Canada is the model. Canada can actually show the world the success story it actually develops over the years, right? How do you think like an ordinary Canadian can advocate that message?
You know, ordinary Canadians is someone, let's say, who've been here for many years or who's born here. If we even take the example of a Syrian refugee who's been here, let's say, 8 months to 1 year, if they have the capability to think that, you know, as a newcomer, I am going to help the people that needs help, make sure I show by example that I'm not a terrorist, I'm actually a giving member of the society, show them that, you know, don't compare me by saying that why are we giving to them and not our own homeless, because I am here to give back to the homeless anytime I can.
Yes.
If a newcomer is showing an example like that, you know, we as Canadians have so much more potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we have the language skills, we
Yes.
have the resources, we have the know-how, the connections, you know. All we need to do is just wake up that one day and say, you know what, I'm done seeing all this crap on TV with what's happening around the world. I want to take action.
Yeah.
I want to do something about it. You know, and I don't need to get help to do that. I'll do it myself. You know, people call me, message me from all over asking, Saima, I want to do this. How can I do this?
Yes.
What can we do?
Yeah.
And I tell them, you know, I'm not here to do your dream. You're there to do it yourself. See what in your capability amongst your circle of people can you do.
Yeah.
How
Absolutely.
many people
Yeah.
can you mobilize?
Yeah.
Maybe one, maybe two, maybe just your family. That's enough to help another family. That's enough to send a message of positivity outside. You don't need to mobilize and be, you know, it takes time to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm telling everyone, you know, that smile, that simple, that, you know what, Saima? I have so much stuff in my basement.
Yeah.
I have so much stuff in my living room. I don't need all of this.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have enough couches, or you know what, a lot of us, we are, alhamdulillah, doing well financially. We want to get another new couch. We want to get another new TV. I'd rather than putting it on Kijiji for sale,
Yeah.
I'm going to call the Syrian Refugee Support Group in Calgary. I'm going to donate all of
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
We
You're
are going
so
through
right.
now the second wave of Syrians
Yeah.
have arrived.
Yeah.
Correct.
We need so much stuff. So we definitely could do with a lot of goodness from Calgary.
So Saima, we were talking, you are so right that any little action multiplies and adds, and then we can do such good things. And you are right, we have so much to give out there. And if everybody, every household gets together and just gets something going, I think they will be these all
Absolutely.
refugees or newcomers from Syria or anywhere, we can help.
Because, like Salma, but there is a thing, right? If we expect too much from the government also has a limit,
Yeah.
right? If civil society, if the people actually come forward, help, the public and private sector are going to work together, that will be a huge help. That's what all the people want.
Yeah.
Right? And I think people like Saima, who is actually running this support group, what is the purpose? They actually find the need, like people are suffering, right? And this civil society people came together, form a group and start helping.
Yeah.
So I think we need more this kind of groups.
Definitely. See, for example, the government,
Yeah.
when a refugee moves into their house, they get a couch or two couches. They get the number of plates and spoons as the number of family. They get one bed for each family member and one comforter.
Okay.
So very bare necessities.
Yeah.
So, and they will get some money to start them off.
Yeah.
But if you think about going to Walmart or the mall and you start buying a vacuum cleaner, a microwave, you buy baking dishes, you buy pots and pans because you have big families.
Yeah.
You need more comforters and blankets because your children, they're making that comforter dirty and you need to change it right away. You go through that money right away.
Right.
And you know, like most of us, I think, they still believe when they came, they got the money, they got the house ready. But now what? I think no, please go ahead.
Exactly.
I think
So that's when you can think of that. Okay, they need blankets because they're coming from a country where the cold isn't as extreme as here. So we can help them with that. We can help them with the microwave that we have sitting in our basement because we bought one last year and we just thought we'll get rid of it, but it's still working. We can give that. We can buy them a flat screen TV. It takes maybe $250 to $400 now just to buy one. You know, and above all, think about it. They're just sitting there in their homes. They don't know anyone.
Yeah.
They cannot read the bus routes. They don't understand the bus routes to get into a bus and go anywhere. They're
Yeah.
afraid of the winter. They're afraid of the cold. They're isolated in their homes. They have nothing to do other than stare at the wall and each other's face. So that really has a psychological effect in the first 3 months. So just to make sure that they don't go into severe depression the first 3 months of arrival, do anything to come and visit them. You
Yeah.
know? Take the family out. You know, you have dinner parties at home. Invite an extra family, a Syrian family, over for dinner.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
arrange for a friend to pick them up and drop them back.
Right.
You know, it's something, these little things that you don't need to do anything other than just have them be part of your friends and family.
Yeah.
And just so that they can get over that isolation, that loneliness, that new country, new culture, new language, uprooted from in the most strangest way. You know, it wasn't like us immigrants,
Yeah.
you know, hoping, coming, planning, and had all of that. It just all of a sudden happened for them.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we need Canadians to really make Syrians as their friends.
Right.
You know, that's another
Yeah.
thing that you can do.
Yeah. That's
So
important.
like Saima, you are in the middle of this thing, and whatever we are doing it. So we feel so blessed. Whatever, so
Yeah.
because we are trying to give the right message to the public, and what we believe, whatever we are doing, so it's from Allah. Of course, He chosen. Okay, you guys.
Yeah.
But if we don't do it, then someone else will. So you are in middle of this thing. You've been like 2 other radio shows, TV shows, and so then how do you feel all this blessing coming to you? And of course, everyone is looking up to you.
You know, the reason why we do it, I don't even know if it is right to say it out, but I'll say it out anyways, you know. At the end, no matter what my identity is, I do value my identity as a Muslim very much. So, as a Muslim, we do it only to please Allah. You know, so as a human being, I do it because of my love for humanity. As a humanitarian, I do it because there's a huge need. Because there are people calling you constantly, newcomers that just arrived, that don't even know the language, but they know Saima Jamal and Sam Namura, and they use WhatsApp, and they somehow find your number, and they keep on messaging you till you show up in their house. And when you show up in their house, you have these beautiful kids. They come and they hug you, they kiss you, and then they'll say, Saima, I need iPad. They'll say, I have nothing to cook with. I need baking dishes. A husband will say, the family needs this. You know. So all of this, it's non-stop, and it's the work of these hundreds of volunteers. I cannot tell you this enough. The sponsors that have sponsored some of these families, these are people that are doing God's work. These are God's tools in our society now that have just absolutely it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is.
People who do not see race, that do not see religion, that do not that see beyond everything, but just see the humanity of things. And they are right there, Muslims helping Christians, Christians helping Muslims. They don't care who is from what background, and Syrians are of all backgrounds. They're Muslims, they're Christians, they're Druze, they're Shias, they're Sunnis, they're everything. And in Canada, I tell Syrians that once whatever issues you had in Syria, all that fear, all that anger, all that sectarian mentality, you leave that the moment you enter Canada. Because in Canada, everyone is like this. And that's the only way we're able to help you guys out, because we operate as one entity.
Absolutely.
So, and that's where we need to move. But that doesn't mean that you also forget the history and their past, what they have left behind. You need to acknowledge what has happened to them. But you need to also show them the beauty of Canada, the beauty of our society, the beauty of how Shias and Sunnis and everyone else is living peacefully, helping each other out without even thinking what background they're from.
Of course.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
true.
I think whenever we actually have this kind of conversation in the house, time is limited. Right, we want to actually talk hours on this topic, and I think there is so much to do. There is a great opportunity in this particular sector. एक चीज़ मैं आप लोगों के साथ शेयर करना चाहूँगा. There was one thing like son actually asked his father that what should I actually make as a career. तो उसका जो डैड था वो उसको एडवाइस करता है make a career in humanity. There is lot of opportunity and there is no competition.
There is no competition.
So दोस्तों like आज का हमारा limited time है लेकिन मैं ये चाहूँगा आपके पास ये जो humanity का circle है humanity का जो career है please there is always a need there, right? So make sure आप लोग है ना इसके लिए ज़रूर काम करो नए साल के अंदर. और सीरियन रेफ्यूजीज ही नहीं लाइक सीरियन न्यू कमर्स ही नहीं बल्कि बहुत सारे दूसरे लोगों को भी आपकी मदद की हम सब की मदद की ज़रूरत है. और साइमा जैसे लोग जो निकलते हैं उन्हें सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत है. तो इनके इनिशिएटिव्स को इनकी तमाम चीज़ों को ज़रूर अप्रिशिएट करो. ये मेरी तरफ से मैसेज है आई थिंक हमारे देखने वालों के लिए. बैक टू सलमा आपा
जी. तो हमारा क्या वक्त ख़त्म हुआ जा रहा है.
बिल्कुल.
Just before she goes, you know, is there any number you can contact?
I was just going to ask her that.
Yeah, for the
हमारे इतने सारे देखने वाले मुझे लगता है कि किसी न किसी के दिल में हमने कुछ तो हमारी बातों ने असर किया होगा. और they will pick up the phone and want to contact you. So how would they reach you or to help?
Support group. Yeah.
Sure. The Syrian Refugee Support Group Calgary is very active on Facebook. That's a great way to approach us.
Okay.
Or you can approach me directly by my phone number 403-829-2268.
Perfect.
So definitely give us a call and we accept good condition household item, financial contributions. We're looking really hard for a warehouse right now. So if you are in Calgary, if you have a warehouse in the northeast, you know, please let us know if you can donate the space and go from there.
Amazing.
तो इसी के साथ हमें आप इजाज़त दीजिए और उम्मीद है कि ये जो नया साल शुरू हो रहा है उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा इस तरह का काम हो सके और ये जो सारे न्यू कमर्स आ रहे हैं ये अच्छी तरह से सेटल हो जाएं क्योंकि हमें अल्लाह ताला ने बहुत कुछ दिया है. हम बहुत फॉर्चुनेट लोग हैं. हम थोड़ी सी भी मदद करेंगे ना तो इन लोगों के लिए वो बहुत ज़्यादा होगी. तो ये आज का जो टॉपिक था बहुत ही खूबसूरत टॉपिक था क्योंकि इसके टॉपिक के बारे में अगर हम कितनी भी बात करें ये बहुत कम है. और हमें बहुत खुशी हुई कि हमें साइमा जमाल जैसी हस्ती आकर इन्होंने बिल्कुल अपना फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस बताया और इतनी अच्छी बातें की. तो उम्मीद है कि आपका ये जो नया साल अच्छी चीज़ों से शुरू होगा. आप हमें इजाज़त दीजिए जलाल को, अकबर को और मुझे और साइमा को और इंशाल्लाह फिर मुलाकात होगी. तो सलाम, नमस्ते, सत श्री अकाल, आदाब और अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
जी, अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.